You can support this show at patreon.com/ASAPodcasting. Welcome to a Skyrim Addict podcast, where I will discuss my adventures and misadventures through Skyrim. Join me. Add your stories, add your tales. Let's get into this thing. Hello, welcome back. New episode of Skyrim Addict podcast. I know it's been quite a while. Sorry, adjusting my chair. This is very weird. I'm in a weird position and using a different audio device, so hopefully this sounds good. Yeah, so last we left everyone. We were going to do a roundtable, modding roundtable, and we are doing it. So July 18th will be when we record for our first episode, which will be covering Carved Brink from Project AHO, I believe. It is available on Xbox. It is also available on PC, of course. I am not positive about PS4. I'll have to look that up. But so we're going to do that one first on the 18th. Some of us have already dived into it. I started it the other day. I'm going to be doing it on Xbox. So what I did was, I think we talked about it last time, I'd set up a character. I was going to go to level 20. Decided to only go to about level 14, 15. I am living in Anissa's cabin, so that's my jump-off point. That's going to be my jump-off point for every episode that we do with a new mod. So that way I go back to this clean slate and start over. I haven't used any perks or anything, so there is that. Yeah, well, it wouldn't matter anyway, because what I did was for this, I was going to use a couple different things. Going to use Apocalypse. I was going to use Ordinator and a couple other things loaded on there with Carved Brink. And I kept running into this issue. Just to kick off Carved Brink, you got to go to this place, Abandoned Grotto, which is essentially between the abandoned prison and Fort Amol. It's on Fort Amol side of that river where the waterfall is coming down. There's like a log going across the water. There's a cabin down below. So it's kind of up above that, or a broken cabin down below, I should say. So it's up above that. So I was having this issue, and I couldn't figure out what it was. I couldn't tell if it was load order or what was going on. So I'd get all the way over there. I'd kick off from Anissa's cabin. I'd run all the way over there, and I would come from the abandoned prison side. I think it's also Hilgron's tomb is also there, but so I'd be coming from that side, and I didn't know where. Like, I could just see the marker, obviously, so I didn't know exactly where it was. It's actually up above the water down below, on the other side of the, I guess, like canyon or whatever you want to call it. So I was like, oh man, do I have to drop down below? Is it in this pool area below the waterfall? And so every time I dropped down, it would just freeze. Boom, done. Freeze. Or anytime I came at it from that direction, boom, freeze. I even saved close to there the one time, boom, froze. Nothing. I'm like, what in the world? So I went and, I stripped down things. And so now I am running just the patch, unofficial patch. What else? Oh, Ordinator and Carved Brink. So I stripped down just to that. So, that's fine. So I did kick off the quest finally, met up with who I had. I'm not going to talk about the quest yet because we'll be covering that on the 18th. But if you want to play along with us, definitely do. Definitely send in your feedback. It's going to be very loose. So if you want to roll a character, you can do so on... we have a character thing set up on the website. If you go to asapodcasting.com and click on the Skyrim Addict logo, and then you can, if you scroll down the page, you'll see a Skyrim character generator, I believe. That'll just give you like a random attributes, things like that, things you got to focus on, companions, spouse, pets, all that kind of stuff. It'll randomize it. So if you want to check that out, hopefully that's still working. I haven't used it in quite a long time. But I'm just doing... basically my character has nothing. I balanced everything, so nothing was too high or too low. And I think I'm actually going in two-handed to carved brink, which is weird for me, but it's kind of where I am. So I'm like, I might do that. But it was fun. I kicked it off. I think I'm going to restart again, go back to my Anissa's cabin, save, kick off from there again now that I have all my issues figured out. Maybe reload a couple things back in and start fresh. See what happens, because I really didn't get that far in. I went inside and did a few things, but nothing terrible. So I may actually roll back and start again. So if you're interested in playing with us, like I said again, just email the show, skyrimbookclub.ca, send in your feedback, what's going on, what you're doing, all that stuff. And we'll have hopefully we'll have quite a few of us doing the roundtable portion. I have to get the list together of what the rest of the mods are, but I mean they'll be spread out far enough for it's not going to be that crazy to keep up with it. So as you can see by our current recording schedule. So the Let's Play Skyrim, Let's Play Fallout, I think I forget what it's called now. It might be called like ASAPodcasting Let's Play or something like that. There are audio Let's Play series. That feed will eventually be going away and be broken into two feeds for the Skyrim ones and the Fallout ones. Just in the process of that now. So, and if you're in Patreon, I'm going to load all those into a file, or into a folder like on Drive or Dropbox, and get rid of the link for it in there so you can access all the episodes prior to them going to the new feed. So it's just a little more, trying to organize it a little better. Things we did that worked better then that would work a little better a different way. So just reorganizing things basically is all that's going on. I'm trying to think what else. Skyrim wise. I was playing that. We have some feedback from Dave, of course. We have the Blackstone, next chapter of the Blackstone Chronicles coming up. That'll be good. Really only 2 weeks until the roundtable, so I got to get on some playing. I picked up Hitman 2 for like $12, so I was playing a ton of that. Playing a bunch of Stardew Valley still. The Dames Who Game, we're talking about it, and I was like, oh man, I'm back in. What are we doing? So, there was a new episode of Dames Who Game dropped like yesterday, I think, maybe, or the day before. A lot of Fallout talk, a lot of Stardew talk, and Sea of Thieves, some other stuff as well. So definitely check out Dames Who Game. I'm trying to think what else off the top of my head. I was looking at Morrowind and popping that into the 1X, so that might happen too. But first I'm going to concentrate on this whole Skyrim thing. Oh, the Fallout TV show was announced. That was pretty cool. Not Skyrim, unfortunately, not Elder Scrolls, but, it is a thing. And so I don't know when, I don't think that's imminent, but Amazon Prime television show, so that's pretty cool. It wouldn't really make sense for them to do an Elder Scrolls show since they're doing a Lord of the Rings show. That would be a little bit of overlap, I would assume. But anyway, I was going to record a few weeks ago because I was thinking about I was thinking about popping in, trying ESO again and all that, and I was just like, because I obviously follow a lot of those shows on Twitter and stuff like that. We had Sons of Sithis on a while back, and I was like, man, they have done like all those shows, Lore Seekers, Tales to Tyrell, the official UESP podcast. They've all done such a wonderful job of creating a great like community around their ESO play and stuff, and I'm mildly jealous because that wasn't really there for Skyrim when it came out. There was a few shows. Obviously, it was 2011, so like nine years ago almost. So podcasting was a little different then. There wasn't obviously as much of it, but I mean, it was relatively established at that point. Not to the point it is now, obviously, but just seeing like how they all interact together, how positive it is. It's something that I wish kind of had went on in the early days of Skyrim a little bit. So kudos to all those shows. They just do a fantastic job of like bringing each other together, like lifting each other up, being positive, being inclusive to each other and anyone else who, in the community. It's really good to see. I'm glad that exists in the Elder Scrolls world. I have no idea what's going on in ESO other than the news because I don't play it, but I do have pangs of jealousy for the shows, I gotta admit. I do listen to the shows. Obviously, UESP goes over a little more than just that, and also Tales has gone over more than just that as well. And if I'm forgetting any shows, I apologize. Obviously, I don't listen to every ESO show while I'm not playing it, so I don't know if I'm the only Skyrim show left or not. If we are, I don't know. If anybody else still has an active Skyrim show, shoot me an email or let me know if you know of one. It would be, I would be amazed, number one, and would be happy to join forces and push each other along. But obviously, there's Skyrim Book Club, which covers more than just Skyrim. Of course, Steve doing that as well. But yeah, I think that's all I have. Just wanted to make sure everybody knew July 18th, we're going to start the Roundtable. So 2 weeks. We'll be recording on Sunday. I think the 18th is Sunday. So we'll be doing that. Carved Brink. That is the mod. We'll be playing through that. So dive into it as deep as you can. Play it. Get your characters together. Enjoy it. Send us your feedback of what you think about it. Go through the stories. Just really enjoy the game because it was something special to me when it came out. It gave me a great escape that I really appreciate it. I had this whole idea for a whole Sappy podcast a few weeks ago about Skyrim and the communities and stuff like that, and I don't necessarily have I don't have the words right now that I had that day, so maybe another day I'll go over that. But I think Skyrim came out at like a perfect time for me. Not necessarily a great time, but a perfect time that I needed it. Maybe that's why I am a little jealous of the ESO fam community, because I would have liked a little more of that at that time. The Skyrim shows that were out then weren't super interactive. It didn't feel like so. There were some great ones, like Thumbcast was fantastic. I loved Thumbcast. And I listened off the record, of course, and was there some other ones? I don't even know. It's been a while, obviously. So anyway, regardless, stay tuned for Dave's feedback. Also started a new podcast called Will Run For ... Obviously a running podcast, but very light, it's four of us. We talk about our journey in like basically fitness, like health, just feeling better. It's very not like super technical running stuff or anything. Very light. We talk about other stuff. So if you want to check that out, it's Will Run For. If you search Will Run For on pretty much any podcatcher, it should pop up. All right. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for Dave, and don't forget to join us on July 18th. Later, everyone.
Hello again, Michael. It's Dave. Latest chapter on Darkbow for your delectation and delight. Right, Darkbow Chapter 5. Extract from the Journal of Tonal Darkbow. The dead just keep appearing. What in oblivion goes on here? We arrived in Shorestone next morning about 2 hours before noon. A quiet mining village with a good number of miners make a living here. I sold my Skyrim wolf pelts to the local blacksmith, who said he would take them to make leather strips for bindings for sheaths or coverings for sword and dagger grips. We had an early lunch beside the smelter where it was warm, which is more than can be said for the bloody wind blowing down through the village. It looked like rain or possibly snow, so we made our way onwards up the north road towards Kynesgrove and then on to Windhelm. My plan was to strike west out of Windhelm towards Dawnstar and then on to Windstack Manor. I saw from my map that we would be passing near this dim, hollow crypt and mentioned it to Genalia. He just grunted and then replied, "OK, I suppose we could take a quick look to satisfy ourselves." That's a plan, I thought. As we left Shorestone proper and approached the northern guard post, I noticed a distinct lack of guard in the tower. Now that is unusual, I thought. Stopped and eased my bow off my back and knocked a silver arrow into place, just to be careful. I was still nervous about vampires and the bloody undead. I watched as Genalia eased his silver greatsword off his back, and we slowly moved forward, wary at the clearly visible lack of guards. A skeleton mage dressed in Imperial robes, standing by the glowing fire pit, turned towards us, barked something and raised his staff. I loosed my arrow and watched the thing drop like the bag of bones it was. The ground around the tower erupted, and skeletons were raising themselves and weapons started to appear in their bony hands. I got 2 down with 2 further arrows before Genalia reached him, striking out in his classic continuous figure of 8, slicing with the great sword. Gods, he was good with that bloody sword. I conjured a bound bow in my right hand and my favourite conjured bow, Foul Moor, with my left, and slowly advanced into the tower itself. One skeleton warrior, dressed in Imperial officer's heavy armour, stood on a landing on the stairway to the top. I took in the sight of 2 dead guards who lay slumped in the corner of the tower, pierced with about 6 arrows, and beside supply barrels. Another had obviously fallen from the tower platform above, as his body was jammed between 2 barrels, broken, and head facing down, with a couple of broken arrows just visible through his armour, and the fletchings lying on the floor. Fowl just raised up the stair and leapt at the throat of the skeleton. Gods, he was well named because he was a bloody big wolf. I grinned and moved on up the stair with my bound sword in my right hand, but ready to recall my wolf should he die before the skeleton. I reached the battling pair and sliced downwards at the skeleton's sword arm, and it satisfactorily parted company with the body. Fowl was now chewing at the skull with his massive jaws when I struck a sword through the body, and it collapsed. The sounds of fighting now ceased outside, and everything went quiet. I dismissed Foul Moor with a wave and took stock of what I thought had happened here. Some necromancer had raised these long-dead soldiers and had taken over the guard post, possibly to let a party through without being challenged or followed. It was the only thing I could think of that made any sense. The next question to be answered was, who? And I could not answer that, but it could conjecture that a vampire group, many of whom had necromancers in their ranks, could be responsible. The next question, why, was difficult to really know, but again I hazarded a thought that they were moving north. Was it to this dim hollow place in the north? A possibility I had to allow for in my travels. Is this why vampire activity had recently increased? A gathering of the clans, so to speak. It was a bloody terrifying thought. So much for my simple plan of action. I stopped a farmer travelling south on the road and told him what had happened here at the guard post and said, You should warn the people at Shore Stone. Tell Finneyard the blacksmith that Darkbow sent you, and warn any of the guards you find." He nodded quickly and set off up the hill at a run to the village as we gathered up my silver arrows, checking them for damage. Only one was lost, damaged beyond repair, but I kept the arrowhead in my pouch for smelting and recasting in the future. I had felt a familiar surge when I conjured my bound sword. Had my conjuration skill increased any? I cleared my mind and cast the bound bow spell with my right hand. A bow of Daedric design appeared in my left hand, and as I grasped the bowstring to pull back, an arrow appeared, and I settled into my familiar bow stance. I pulled back as far as I could go. And let go, aiming at a tree on the opposite side of the road, and was encouraged by the sound of a solid thump as it hit the trunk. I quickly followed with 3 more arrows, each of which hit true. The difference I noticed was that the arrows flew straight and level. No adjustment for distance was necessary. No wonder all my sisters were so accurate with their bound bows. I kept practicing as we walked along the road, firing at various objects, and I never missed one. I estimated that the bow had a maximum range of about 200 paces. A goodly distance, as I could only fire my ancient heavy elven bow about 150 paces and still get a hit. It eventually died at 100 arrows. I conjured another, seemingly more easily this time, and I continued my experiments. I killed 4 wolves, 3 elk, and lots of trees that afternoon. Gods, no wonder Mascazia was such a good hunter, and her skins were so perfect. The damned arrows penetrated, killed, but left no mark. "Oh, I just love this bow, Genalia," I said, just before stumbling to my knees and falling to the ground unconscious. I awoke the next morning in my tent, sat up, feeling hungry, almost starving, and really thirsty. A jug of water sat beside me along with a large steaming plate of wolf liver and potatoes. Genalia said, "Mascazia warned us about this, and she was correct when she told me you would ignore it and have plenty of hot food and fresh water only for when you wake up," he said, grinning at me. Gods, that's right. I should limit my use of the bound bow because of the magicka drain. Not too many arrows at one time, and definitely not too many conjurations in the one day. Bugger, the pain in my head is bloody horrendous. Get the food and water into you, my friend, and don't forget what happened here. "Oh, I won't. Trust me on this, I won't," I grimaced as I picked up the water and swallowed some down quickly, followed by some liver and potato. "I suggest we stay here another day until you're properly rested and recovered, my friend," he said, and I just nodded and continued eating and drinking, thankful my friend had been there to help me. And that's the end of that wee section. I hope you enjoy it, and speak to you soon.